So I'm looking here.
Yeah. Hiya! So today I'm going to be doing my February wrap-up, and as you can see I have Karla with me because I didn't read that much, so she's here to bulk it out. We're going to take it in turns, so like I go first, then Karla goes, and then me, and then Karla, and then me, and then Karla. And then, so that's how this is going to go. But anyway, I read 3 books in February, and then I started 1 book which I'm still currently reading, and it will probably take me all of March to get through it as well. But anyway, we're going to get into it. So the first book I read was Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Abertali, and this is a YA contemporary with LGBT in it. My descriptions are always great. But this is about Simon, who is secretly gay. He hasn't come out to his school, so like nobody knows that he's gay. And basically his school kind of has this Tumblr account. It's kind of like Mean Girls, kind of slightly. But they have this Tumblr, and someone like secretly puts that they're gay, and they put like a fake kind of name and email address on there for people to email. And so Simon emails him, and they kind of chat back and forth about how they're both being kind of like secretly gay at school. And so they both kind of chat, and then one day Simon forgets to log out of his emails, and Martin, this kid called Martin, finds the emails and is basically like, "Yo Simon, I'm gonna blackmail you into making your friend go out with me, or else I'm gonna show the whole school your emails." And it's kind of just about how Simon deals with that, how Martin goes on with this whole thing. Simon's friends, like just being gay at high school, and like just kind of, yeah, that basically. I really enjoyed it. I can't remember how many stars I gave it. I think it was either 4 or 5. I really enjoyed it, although there were parts where it was a bit slow, and then also I loved the ending. The ending was my absolute favourite part, like kind of like the last 50 chapters or so. Like, I don't really like the character of Martin. I could see like there were some likeable aspects to him. I just also don't understand his mind frame of doing what he did. So yeah, I don't know, I've kind of got mixed feelings, but overall I really enjoyed the book. That was the first book I read in February.
So the first book I read in February was The Thieves of Ostia, which is the first of the Roman Mysteries book. So I do primary education at university, so I'm reading children's books all the time. And I read this book when I was younger, but I couldn't really remember much about it, so I thought I'd reread it. And it's basically a mystery book, but set in Roman times. It's a really good book. It deals with a lot of different issues, and it was just really nostalgic to read it again. And I think I preferred it to when I read it the first time, and I give it 4 stars on Goodreads.
The next book I read in February was On the Other Side by Carrie Hope Fletcher. This is a kind of, it's fiction, but it's kind of like a magical realism / contemporary high romance type book. Are you okay just dropping your phone? You've probably heard of Carrie because she is in so many musicals, she's on YouTube, she sings, she's an author, she's done so much stuff. She's also the sister of Tom Fletcher from McFly. But yeah, anyway, so you've probably most likely heard of Carrie. This is the first book by her I've read, and it sounds bad, but I kind of wish I didn't read it because I really wasn't a fan. For a lot of people will love this, but then also I know a lot of people won't be fans of it. So basically this follows 82-year-old Evie, who basically dies, and instead of going to heaven she's kind of stuck in purgatory, but it's shaped in the shape of her like old apartment. And she basically has like 3 kind of secrets that she needs to tell her family and friends before she's able to move on to the afterlife. So she basically has to go back into her body of her 27-year-old body, and she goes to her like different various friends and family members and goes through these secrets. And it's also very much incorporates kind of a love story between Evie and a guy I can't remember his name of. The 2 main characters of Evie and the guy I can't remember are essentially Carrie and Pete to me. Like, the way they're described and everything just seems too much like Carrie and Pete for me. And then also the writing, just, if it had been written better I probably would have enjoyed it more, but you can really tell it's her debut novel and it seems slightly amateurish in the writing. This sounds slightly harsh, but yeah, that's just how I felt. and also the romance was just too cheesy for me. I'm okay with reading some romance. As I've gotten older, I've been better at reading romances, and I don't mind the cheese so much, but with this, it was too much for me. It's way too much for me. And then the magical realism it didn't fit in a way that I think magical realism should fit in. It just seemed a bit random and sporadic at times. So yeah, I wasn't a massive fan of this. But if you want to read it, you should read it. And if you loved this book, I'm not saying you can't love it because everyone has different opinions on it, but it just wasn't for me.
So the next book I read was Pinocchio by Karla. This is your classic book. It's been turned into a Disney film, but I'm obsessed with finding out like the original stories behind Disney films, so I really wanted to read it and see just how similar it was. I absolutely loved this book. It was really good. It's a lot darker than the Disney film, obviously, but it's a really good read, and if you, like me, like looking at the true stories behind Disney films, I think this is a good one to get you started. It's quite a lot of similarities, but then some things are definitely pushed to the extreme, and I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, and I really liked it.
The last book I read, I don't know if this counts really, but it was the illustrated edition of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. This was a birthday present from Simon, so I read it. It's basically just kind of like it's just kind of creatures from Harry Potter. Like if you see, it's got like illustrations and a little kind of context behind them. I gave it 3 stars just because a lot of it was essentially just normal animals with like one small difference. I don't know, I was expecting it to be somehow kind of different to what it was. It was still beautiful and wonderful and magical, but just, I don't know, I was expecting a little bit different. I was expecting it to be a little bit different to what it was. I was kind of expecting it to be more of kind of like a story rather than just animal kind of thing. I don't know, I was kind of expecting it to kind of flow a little bit more.
So the next book I read was Dead Simple, and it has multiple authors, so I won't read them all out, but it is one of the Galaxy quick read books from 2017. I've been really into quick read books because you can literally pick it up and read it within an hour, but Dead Simple is actually 8 different stories put together into a collection. As far as quick reads go, it was one of the better ones I've read. Quick reads can be kind of hit or miss. They seem to, you know, not be amazing stories, but they're good to read quickly. Some of the stories in this collection I liked, others I didn't. Overall I gave it 3 stars. It was alright, but not amazing.
So at the end of February, I started this book, but I'm still reading it, and it's probably going to take me quite a few weeks to finish it. But I started The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte. I'm reading this because, first of all, it sounds kind of interesting to me as far as classics go. That sounds kind of bad. Like, I do enjoy classics, but it's only certain classics that I know I will enjoy. And this one sounds interesting to me, and also basically I study history at uni, and for one of my modules I'm doing gender history from like 1450 to 1914. I have a presentation which is on female writers in the 19th century. So I chose to do Anne Bronte and focus specifically on The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. And this is basically about Helen Graham, who runs away to Wildfell Hall with her son Arthur, and there's kind of like a whole mystery surrounding why she's there, where she's come from, and her past is kind of concealed. And it is essentially about how she's run away from her alcoholic and abusive husband, and how she kind of makes a living for herself through painting and art. And she's just it's kind of about women's liberation, alcoholism, debauchery, basically cheating on your wife, kind of, and kind of like secrets, and I don't know, it just sounds really intriguing to me. So I'm doing my presentation on this book, so I need to read it because I'm currently 81 pages in, and it's quite a chunky book, which I think is why I'm reading it so slowly, because it's kind of off-putting how big it is.
So the book that I am currently reading is Do Androids Dream of Electric Sleep by Philip K. Dick. This is a sci-fi book, and it is the book that started the Blade Runner series. As you probably know, Blade Runner was a huge film, but this is the book that was its inspiration. It's set in the future. It's set in January 2021, and it's a future with both androids and humans living together, and I haven't got that far into it, so I can't really tell you much more about what it's about. But so far it's looking really promising.
So these are all the books we read in February and kind of started. Let us know what books you read by leaving it in a comment, and if you read any of these books, what you thought of them, and I will see you next time. Bye!